Hello, my name is Sylvia Wirtz, and I am a freshman at VCU, and today I will be reading from a band/challenged book for both a project for my Maths Comm class and for Band Books Week. I have chosen Lord of the Flies. I originally read this book back in my freshman year of high school for my IB English class, and it really is an interesting book. The reason why it was banned was for explicit violence and bad language, also for racist comments, and it degenerates minorities, God, women, and the disabled. But for the most part, it's mostly on the violence. It was originally challenged back in 1974, and there have been several other cases throughout the years, the most recently being in 2000. So I will be reading a 2-minute excerpt of this book. I tried finding one of the more iffy sections where most of the parents and libraries had said this is one of the things that we don't want our children reading, especially if you have to read it for school. So on with the reading. Now, the drove of pigs started up, and at a range of only 10 yards, the wooden spears with fire-hardened points flew towards the chosen pig. One piglet, with a demented shriek, rushed into the sea, trailing Roger's spear behind it. The sow gave a gasping squeal and staggered up with 2 spears sticking in her flank. The boy shouted and rushed forward. The piglets scattered, and the sow burst the advancing line and went crashing away through the forest. After her! They raced along a pig track, but the forest was too dark and tangled so that Jack, cursing, stopped them and cast among the trees. Then he said nothing for a long time, but breathed fiercely so that they were awed by him and looked into each other in uneasy admiration. Presently, he jabbed toward the ground with his finger. There. Before the others could examine the drop of blood, Jack had swerved off, judging a trace, touching a bough that gave. So he followed, mysteriously right and assured, and the hunters trod behind him. He stopped before a covert. In there. They surrounded the covert, but the sow got away with the sting of another spear in her flank. The trailing butts hindered her, and the sharp cross points were a torment. She blundered into a tree, forcing a spear still deeper, and after many of the hunters could follow her easily by the drops of vivid blood. The afternoon wore on hazy and dreadful with a damp heat. The sow staggered her way ahead of them, bleeding and mad, and the hunters followed, wielded to her in lust, excited by the long chase and the dropped blood. They could see her now, nearly got up with her, but she splurted with her last strength and held ahead of them again. They were just behind her when she staggered into an open space where bright flowers grew and butterflies danced around each other, and air was hot and still. There. Struck down by heat, the sow fell, and the hunters hurled themselves at her. This dreadful eruption from an unknown world made her frantic, and she squealed and buckled, and the air was full of sweat and noise and blood and terror. Roger ran around the heap, prodding with his spear whenever the pig flesh appeared. Jack was on top of the sow, stabbing downward with his knife. Roger found an lodgment for his point and began to push till he was leaning with his whole weight. The spear moved forward, inch by inch, and the terrified squealing became a high-pitched scream. Then Jack found the throat, and the hot blood spouted over his hands. The sow collapsed under them, and they were heavy and fulfilled upon her. The butterflies still danced, preoccupied in the center of the clearing.